Welcome into the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. It is a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's Supernatural News and Parashare Day. I'm your host, again, Tim Dennis. That's me right here. See? In the living flesh. If you're watching on video, I'm poking myself in the chest. It's a big day today. We got lots of big stories for you. And of course, with that, we need a co-hostess. So we bring in the best in the Midwest, the pearl of the paranormal. Ladies and gentlemen, reaching across the Midwest, here she is, Miss Mallie Fox. Mallie, how you doing?
I'm good. I like pearl of paranormal, but it kind of makes me sound like I'm like some like in a coal mining town, like the floozy or something.
What? No, that's not
pearl
how it was.
The paranormal?
The pearl of the paranormal. In other words, you're the crown jewel, the pearl of the paranormal. Maybe I should have set it up that way. The crown jewel, the pearl of the paranormal. I
have flashbacks of like the old West, and I'm some prostitute.
No. That's not how it was. No, I'll do a better job of setting it up next time. I didn't mean that, my friend. My gosh.
No, but I mean, it's catchy.
I was trying to use alliteration there, and I
right.
didn't. I did. Well, maybe I blew it. I don't know.
No, not at all. I liked it. But I just had one of those flashes of like an old Western town.
Just sitting up there.
I'm walking down the stairs in my little outfit. Come on up, mister.
Come on up for a good ghosty time.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I threw that one out and wasn't thinking. I don't know. That could have been. Well, we got a big show today, Mal. We've got there's a lot of UFO news this week. I tried to cleave it down a little bit, but boy, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we've become a UFO obsessed society. Is that the deal?
I don't know, but I wish something good would come out of it because it's the same old stories.
There's a lot.
You know what I mean? Like there's no answer really.
Yeah, you're right about that. A lot of speculation and running after politicians. There's a lot of that. Yeah. Although there's a few near misses this week.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got a little bit of excitement out there. I mean, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. Leave it to almost a catastrophe, and then we'll be like, oh, at least it's some type of
there's that.
Cool news.
I mean, other than the tragedies that are out there this week.
Good God.
The real tragedies that are out there, which are, I mean,
awful.
Nothing to joke about. But
no, not at all.
But I mean, there's other unidentified flying objects out there that are seriously bizarre. That's for sure. I hope, between you, me, and a bunch of listeners, I truly hope that some of these UFOs aren't just uneducated guesses. You know what I mean when I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That people aren't looking up in the sky and going, that something that's there isn't, I'm misguessing that that's a UFO when it's really a known craft, right?
Yeah.
And we're all guessing wrong and something tragic happens like what's happened recently in Washington or Philly or I really feel like, I'm just going to throw it out there. I really feel like people are getting dumber by the day, right? When it comes to some of the stuff that's happening in the nation. By God. I mean, you just see collisions and I don't know what's happening to this country lately. I just don't with tragedies that are happening that just didn't used to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Or did they? But now we've got social media where you find out things.
Yeah, that's true.
You're more so than you did in the past.
Yeah, you're finding it out quicker. Things. The news cycle happens faster.
Yeah.
And I hate to see it. It's not necessarily more accurate, but you're getting the news faster, and then they're compiling information quicker. Unfortunately, people cast aspersions quicker, too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that. And a lot of times people get information wrong first, and then they try to clean it up afterwards. But then that
That's too late.
Yeah, and then that wrong news is out there first,
Yeah.
and then people grab onto that, and then they go crazy with it. It's been a bizarre start to 2025. That's for sure. Let's jump into what we've got here today. Our first story actually has to do with some mysterious objects over Turkey. A UFO alert as pilots report a near miss or misses with mystery objects over Turkey. Multiple pilots have reported inexplicable near collisions with unknown objects over the last few days. Local reports have highlighted a spate of unexplained encounters between pilots and unidentified unseen objects in and around the airspace of Turkey's capital city of Istanbul. The incident saw pilots receive traffic collision avoidance systems, or TCAS, warnings near, I believe this is Sabiha Gökçen Airport, prompting extensive search efforts to try to track down the objects responsible. On final approach at 300 feet, we received a traffic alert. One pilot was recorded as saying, "It could be a drone or another aircraft. For your information, sir, we have been dealing with this for the past 2.5 hours," a control tower responded. "Several flights before you have also received this warning. We've reported it to coastal authorities. We see descending traffic 500 feet below us," the pilot said. "It appears as an unidentified traffic on our system. It is now 5 miles ahead of us. We also received this warning on our previous flight. Despite multiple searches of the surrounding area, no explanation for the phenomena has been forthcoming. Some have speculated that the near misses could be connected to the mystery drones." I hate putting it that way. I know that's what the story says, but those mystery drones are only in the United States. But the way the story puts it, I'll read it the way the story puts it. Some have speculated that the near misses could be connected to the mystery drones that have been reported above air bases in the United States and beyond in recent months. It's just been in the U.S. Earlier this week, President Trump's administration played down the drones sighted over New Jersey, but that doesn't explain all of the sightings, especially those in other states or countries. For now, the objects picked up on traffic avoidance systems over Istanbul continue to remain a mystery. To state whether they were drones or not in Turkey, that's a good question because you don't necessarily know. But
Right. Well, and isn't it easier to get drones nowadays than, 20 years ago?
yes, it is.
So,
Yeah. And, there's been a lot of finger pointing over the last couple of weeks. As it was stated in the story, the Trump administration said, no, we know for a fact, we know what these drones were. Most of them were within the government. They were sanctioned by the FAA. Nothing to worry about. Don't stress. Yet there have been some worldwide sightings. But again, how many drones are out there, Mal? Right? I mean, you have people flying drones all the time. And people fly drones within airspace that they shouldn't be flying drones in.
right.
You know.
Those are the same people that shoot up lasers in the sky.
Yes, the exact same people who shine lasers at airplanes and yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ne'er-do-wells, that's a good way of putting it, that cause a lot of trouble. So you can't necessarily say, it's a foreign adversary that's causing the trouble, because so there's plenty of actors at home that, want to cause trouble. So, it's hard to point a finger at necessarily one entity and say it's them. You can't say that. Our next story has to do with a giant, creepy alien face discovered in Antarctica on Google Earth. A satellite image covering part of the desolate Antarctic wastes shows a feature that looks deceptively like a face. Actually, I'll show you the picture here, Mallie. It really does look like a face.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we'll find out what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
From the entrance of a secret base to the silhouette of a giant sea monster, amateur Google Earth sleuths have found all sorts of strange and unusual features in some of the world's most remote places. This latest example, which was recently discovered and posted up on Reddit, shows a bizarre alien-like face complete with a large nose, 2 closed eyes, and a small slit-like mouth. You can find it yourself on Google Maps at, are you ready for this? 72 degrees, and then it says 0036.0 degrees south, 168, 34, 40.0 east. I don't think I read that right because I'm not a great map guy. I'm not known as Map Central, but there you go. Of course, this isn't actually a face, but an example of pareidolia, the brain's innate tendency to perceive meaningful shapes and otherwise abstract patterns. It's the same phenomena that enables us to see familiar shapes in clouds, and it is also responsible for the discovery of various weird and wacky anomalies on the surface of Mars. The Antarctic face is certainly not the first such example, and no doubt it won't be the last. Someone on X called Open-Minded Approach, or at OM Approach, asked, is it just me or does this giant face in Antarctica at the particular coordinates look like Steiner's version of Ahriman? And here's the comparison right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a cute little comparison. And it does, yeah. It's dead on. So there you go. Our next story, Mel, is, again, kind of right down that line. Actually, it's a little more than right down that line. This actually comes from NASA astronauts who claim they were harassed by 125-foot aliens with wings who peek into space shuttles. Hey, if you're doing, kind of kinky stuff on the space shuttle, you don't want to run into a 125-foot alien with wings because that's kind of harsher gig. Just saying. But self-proclaimed UFO expert Chris Bledsoe has spoken out about the moment that angelic beings were looking into the space shuttle and smiling at NASA astronauts. This is where you have to put your beliefs a little bit to the side, maybe, and play along for a minute.
Yeah.
Right? See if you believe. An alien lover has described the moment he says NASA astronauts were harassed by 125-foot tall beings with wings who were peeking into a space shuttle. Self-proclaimed UFO expert Chris Bledsoe was speaking on the Bledsoe Said So podcast. That's catchy.
That's catchy, yeah.
I like it.
Bledsoe Said So.
Right. I wanted to start the Dennis the Menace podcast, but evidently there was one already.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know.
Oh, well, they'd probably have to pay money for a trademark.
Yeah, there's a big trademark there. Just saying. So Chris Bledsoe was on the Bledsoe Said So podcast where he said he was sharing his experiences with NASA for the first time. Over the course of the interview, he spoke about how it was that he got involved with the U.S.-based space agency. During the discussion, he also revealed that all astronauts had experienced extraterrestrial life during their missions and had been harassed by them. So how come we don't hear more about it? That's exactly my deal, right? He claimed that he was drafted into the independent government organization to help them understand what the aliens wanted with them. Bledsoe's experiences with aliens or orbs, as he described them, date back to 2007 when he was on the verge of losing everything in the financial crisis and suffering from a debilitating chronic disease. Bledsoe said he had a moment that changed him forever. On January 8th of that year, while on the banks of the Cape Fear River, Bledsoe said that he had prayed, and what followed saw his teenage son along with 3 coworkers experiencing a life-altering encounter with unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, celestial beings, and missing time. Bledsoe says since the encounter, he continues to see what he calls orbs, Mal, and claims they are supernatural beings that communicate with him, and says it was the reason why NASA reached out to him for help. He said, everybody's wondering, how did you get into NASA? Why were you there? And why were you studying with them? When I asked them, why do you need me? You've got rockets, you've got space shuttles, you've got satellites, you've got the space station, all the money and the technology and telescopes in the world. And they're like, we know they like you and they communicate with you and they don't have nothing to do with us at all. And we'd like to know why it is or what it is they want and why it is they're harassing their astronauts. Bledsoe then said that when he asked if any astronaut had seen any orbs, he was told that they all had. He said, I was there consulting with them about what they're now calling a plasmoid, which is an angelic being, and that they come out of the orbs. When asked how the orbs would appear to the astronauts, Bledsoe said they would appear outside the space shuttle and look in the windows at them. So angels are voyeurs. Just saying. The quote here is, stand up over the shuttle bay or the space station glowing. Sometimes there's a report of a half a dozen of them, 125 feet tall with wings, standing there and smiling at them. Well, at least they're not doing anything terrible, right? I mean, they could be standing there doing something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When asked what comes out of the orbs, Bledsoe said it was angelic beings. He added, created beings, they're made out of energy, but in a ball or light. But out of that ball of light comes a glowing being. Sometimes they're 6 or 7 feet tall or taller, or 125 feet tall, whatever they want. So they could start out this big and get this big.
Mm-hmm.
No height requirement. It's not like the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Where you got to be so tall to play, right? I guess. They mimic anything they can mimic. A flying saucer, they can mimic a drone. They can split in 2 or 100. So maybe the drones that are on the East Coast are angels.
What is this guy smoking?
I don't know, but I want some of that shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. I need a break from reality right now, Mal.
Yeah.
I know this much. It doesn't come from Jamaica. I don't know, Mr. Bledsoe, but if Bledsoe said so, I can tell you this much. Bledsoe said so with a little bit of psychedelics in his system.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez Louise.
I don't know. Do you think, Mallie, actually that NASA is bringing this guy in and being like, give us the answers, oh guru?
Well, I was going to say, I've had a meeting with them, but if they've had me, maybe they have had him. I've been to their headquarters. So maybe it's possible, but I mean, these people are pretty respectable, so I don't think he's been there.
No, you don't think they brought Mr. Bledsoe in? And
no.
They're like, you have the answer to 125-foot angels. You got to know, man.
Yeah. I tried to keep my guest pass and they took it away.
Oh, did they?
I remembered they gave it to me. Yes.
Well, you know why? It's because you didn't produce a 125-foot angel. That's why.
I know.
Yeah.
Dang it.
The only angel there was you, Mallie. Oh.
Yeah, with my equipment.
With your equipment.
Yeah. I did. I had to bring some pieces and explain why we use them. Oh my God.
So
about talking out of my ass.
Well, that's a phenomenon right there. That should have kept him entertained for a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Our next story has to do with asteroid Bennu, and it reveals clues on how life on Earth may have been seeded.
Okay.
It's not as fun as the other way, but hey, if an asteroid can do it, then I think we can too. Scientists have found the building blocks of life in samples collected from the asteroid by a spacecraft. According to Timothy J. McCoy and Sarah Russell, a bright fireball streaked across the sky above mountains, glaciers, and spruce forests near the town of Revelstoke in British Columbia, Canada, on the evening of March 31st, 1965. Fragments of this meteorite, discovered by beaver trappers, fell over a lake A layer of ice saved them from the depths and allowed scientists a peek into the birth of the solar system. Nearly 60 years later, NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission returned from space with a sample of the asteroid named Bennu, which is similar to the one that rained rocks over Revelstoke. Their research team had published a chemical analysis of those samples, providing insights into how some of the ingredients of life may have first arrived on Earth. Born in the years bracketing the Revelstoke meteorite's fall, the two of them have spent their careers in the meteorite collections of the Smithsonian Institution of Washington, D.C., and the National History Museum in London. They've dreamed of studying samples from a Revelstoke-like asteroid collected by a spacecraft. Then nearly 2 decades ago, they began turning those dreams into reality. They joined NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission team, which aimed to send a spacecraft to collect and return an asteroid sample to Earth. After those samples arrived on September 24th of 2023, they got to dive into a tale of rock, ice, and water that hints at how life could have formed on Earth. Now, to learn about an asteroid, a rocky or metallic object in orbit around the sun, they started with a study of meteorites. Asteroids like Bennu are rocky or metallic objects in orbit around the sun. Meteorites are pieces of asteroids or other natural extraterrestrial objects that survive the fiery plunge to the Earth's surface. They really wanted to study an asteroid similar to a set of meteorites called chondrites, which are components formed in a cloud of gas and dust at the dawn of the solar system billions of years ago. The Revelstoke meteorite is in a group called Ci chondrites, which is laboratory measured compositions of Ci chondrites that are essentially identical, minus hydrogen and helium, to the composition of elements carried by convection from the interior of the sun and measured in the outermost layer of the sun. Since their components formed billions of years ago, they're likely chemically unchanged time capsules for the early solar system. So geologists use the chemical compositions of Ci chondrites as the ultimate reference standard for geochemistry. They can compare the compositions of everything from other chondrites to Earth rocks. Any differences from the Ci chondrite composition would have happened through the same processes that formed asteroids and planets. So Ci chondrites are rich in clay and formed when ice melted in an ancient asteroid, altering the rock. They're also rich in prebiotic organic molecules, and some of these types of molecules are the building blocks of life. So, see? Molecules. Building blocks. All that other kind of fun stuff. So, Bennu essentially has all these rich minerals in the meteorites, and you can find some of those sodium-rich minerals in meteorites, and they're also sometimes found in dried up lake beds on Earth, like in Searles Lake in California. So you can actually still find some of them here on Earth.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. Bennu's rocks formed 4.5 billion years ago on a larger parent asteroid. That asteroid was wet and muddy. So, of course, it keeps all that stuff well preserved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of skipping ahead a little bit, and I tell you what, I'll post this in the description of the program so you can read it in depth if you'd like to learn more about Bennu, because there's a lot to learn. When asteroids like Bennu hit the young Earth when it was younger, they could have provided a complete package of complex molecules and the ingredients essential to life, such as water, phosphate, and ammonia. So at that point, the components would have seeded Earth's initially barren landscape to produce a habitable world. So essentially all those little minerals, all those little essential life pieces are on the asteroid. Boom, we're seeded. Look at that.
I like how you say boom, because weren't we talking about how they thought we could start living on asteroids last time?
Yeah.
So it's like, if we know that it hits planets, why would you want to be on there?
Yeah, well, exactly. There you go. So it says, without this early bombardment, perhaps when the pieces of the Revelstoke meteorite landed several billion years ago, those fragments from outer space would not have arrived into a landscape punctuated with glaciers and trees. you still had to have some of the pieces here on Earth in order to get some of those components from the asteroid to meet. So essentially you had to have its chocolate and our peanut butter in order to get things to move. So without using human terms here, you had to have, you had to have certain pieces there, Mal, in order to make it work, But they got it to work. You had to have the essential building blocks of amino acids that form proteins. You had to have the DNA, the RNA, and boom, there you go. Boom. I don't know why I'm John Madden today, but I am. But that's what happened. I'll post that in the description of the program so you can read it more in depth. But for time's sake here, we'll cut it a little short. That's what she said. Hello. I have an interesting story here about an alien abductee's pants and how it's at the center of a spat with Scottish museum officials.
Okay.
You would never think somebody's pants would be at the center of anything, but they are.
Hey, I've got a pair of prison pants.
A pair of prison pants?
Uh-huh.
How did you end up with somebody's prison pants?
When we were doing our investigation at, oh, crap.
At Oh Crap?
No, Ohio State Reformatory. I was trying to think of the name. I'm like, where Shawshank Redemption was filmed. I became friends with one of the volunteers there, and they had discovered this room that had a bunch of like old pants and a bunch of supplies and stuff like that. And he gave me a pair of prison pants.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They were little.
Yeah, they built them small back then.
Yeah, men were small back then. But yeah. So I have it somewhere in a box. I've got a pair of dusty old prison pants that I'm going to one day put in a shadow box and put in my office.
Nice. Well, by the way, later in the program, I'll tell you how you can get a job as a paranormal guide in a prison.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's a job. There's a job opening. So I'll tell you how you can get that job a little bit later in the program. In fact, that's how we're going to close out the program today.
Very nice. Yeah. Can you hint what state?
I can't.
No. Oh.
No. It's a cliffhanger.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to keep you until the end of the program. So with this next story, the famous torn trousers are considered to be physical evidence of one man's close encounter with a UFO, Mallie. The pants, which are in the possession of a paranormal investigator, Malcolm Robinson, once belonged to the man at the center of one of Scotland's most famous UFO incidents. It all started when Robert Bob Taylor, who's a 61-year-old forestry worker, went out into the Deckmont Woods in West Lothian, Scotland, on November 9th, 1979, to walk his dog, who's a red setter named Lara. As he turned the corner, he came across what he described as a flying dome that was hovering a few inches above the forest floor, a short distance from where he was standing. Its surface, he noted, was like a dark metallic material with a rough texture like sandpaper, and a distinct smell similar to that of burning brakes that seemed to permeate the air. I've had those recently. I'll tell you, it's not fun. Yeah. I had my own UFO going.
Yeah, I need some new pads.
Yeah, new pads, new rotors, new everything.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Then, without warning, two spiked metallic spheres appeared, grabbed his clothes, and began dragging him across the grass toward the object. At this point, a few oh shits probably came out of his mouth, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
In Scottish. Yeah. Oh, shit, I tell you. That's a bad accent, by the way. It was at this point that he fell unconscious.
Oh.
Yeah, he probably soiled himself, too, I'm guessing. Those pants probably weren't any good. When he awoke several hours later, he found that his clothes were torn and that he had suffered a series of cuts and bruises all over his body. When police officers later went to investigate the scene of the incident, they discovered strange ladder-shaped marks on the ground. Interesting, huh? Ultimately, no definitive explanation was ever found, and Taylor himself died back in 2007, having never discovered the truth of what had actually happened to him. Interesting. His torn trousers, however, still remain an intriguing piece of physical evidence of the incident. Robinson, who has been attempting to donate the pants to the National Museums of Scotland as an important piece of Scottish history, has been met with a frustrating level of resistance. This is not any old pair of trousers, he said. They are a part of Scotland's biggest ever UFO story. Can't disagree with that. Right? A full-blown police investigation was carried out, including a forensic examination of the ripped trousers. It might sound bizarre to some, but this is an iconic piece of Scottish history which rightly deserves a place in a museum, he went on to say. I've been offered thousands of pounds by an American businessman, but I have refused, Robinson went on to say. Was
it Zach?
I'm almost thinking it's our friend over at the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
Yeah. He says, I wanted to donate these trousers to the National Museums of Scotland. Sadly, they refused. I'm very disappointed. The only reason given by museum officials is that they already have similar material. That's the excuse. It's not, okay, we already have a pair. We don't need another one. This isn't a pair of Nikes, right? This isn't like a pair of Air Jordans. Well, we have one. We don't need another one, right? These are separate incidents from separate cases. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know, Mel. How do you talk to a museum about a special case, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. All right, we're going to get into the funnier side of UFOs for a second, if we could. I want to ask you, Mallie.
Sure.
What in the world is this in the sky?
Well,
some people
definitely interesting.
Yeah, some people would say that's a portal.
Yeah.
To me, that looks like a big bunghole. I mean, it kind of does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, people have been joking about it on social media. A stargazer is shocked after spotting a strange portal cloud in the sky over Scotland. Karen told how she was surprised by the response she got when she shared photos on social media of this thing, which is a giant O-ring in the sky. A stargazer was left speechless after she spotted a portal-shaped cloud in the sky over Scotland. 46-year-old Karen McCown was amazed to see the illuminated circle floating above her home, and I believe it is Tullibody Clacks. I'm not a huge... Wow, look at how big this thing is. Okay, I'm going to give you perspective on this photo here, Mel. Look at how big that thing is.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot bigger than I was thinking it was.
Yeah. That thing is huge.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That is a huge hole. That thing's been bored out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If I saw that thing in the sky, I'd try to put something in it. That's what he said. She said, I'm always looking out my bedroom window at night as the skies have been so weird this past year or two. I'm also the kind of person that loves taking photos, but I'm still learning. I was doing my usual looking out the window one night, taking a few pics of the moon. That's my favorite to do just now, the moon pics. Then I saw it, a big massive cloud shaped into what definitely looked like a portal. I'm glad she said portal. So I snapped a few pictures and I thought, nah, this can't be right. What the heck? And it stayed like that for what felt like ages. I uploaded them to my Facebook, expecting to take the mick out of me. But yeah, there was a lot of interest in it. I'm well proud of what I captured. I can honestly say I've been left confused by it and still look out every night to spot the lights again. I've had comments with people thinking something weird is going on, definitely. People just think it's weird, and some of us are more worried than others. It comes 4 months after a man was stunned after snapping a UFO in Scotland. The picture, which appears to be a row of strange lights, was taken around 9:30 p.m. one night in September. It says here, Geroid, I believe is the man's name, who often photographs the aurora borealis, had gone in search of the northern lights and headed to Coat Bridges St. Ambrose's high school. He went to the football pitch at the Northern Lanarkshire School with his tripod and the dog and took more than 100 images of the night sky. He then returned home to see if he was successful. On closer inspection, Geroyd then spotted what appeared to be a cluster of red and white lights streaking across the sky in several images. He immediately posted them on social media about the mystery. He said, "I posted it on a Facebook group to see if anyone knew what it was. Some say it was Starlink satellites, which is obvious, but it can't be," he said, "as they are only white, the Starlink lights, that is. And when I catch planes in photos, they never look like this." I tell you, the more I look at this portal, I'm using air quotes, I think of the lights over at Mystic Lake Casino.
Okay.
You know how when the spotlights hit the clouds and they go out into O-rings? Mm-hmm. This looks exactly like a spotlight hitting an O-ring, or, the O-ring spotlights hitting the clouds.
Okay.
It's almost like someone's shining a spotlight up into a cloud. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Now I'm curious if they were having like an opening or something where someone was doing it that night.
Yeah, like someone was trying to get someone's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a grand opening. I don't know. But it's almost too perfect, the ring. Tell you what, I'll post this one too in the description of the program so you can take a look at the picture for yourself. But I almost think it's a spotlight. I don't know. It looks too good. One more story here before break here, Mallie. A Massachusetts man's ashes are to be launched into space. We've talked about this subject before. Mm-hmm. About having the old ashes shot into space. Didn't you say your dad was one who was interested in it?
He wants to do it. And I told him I was going to take the cheap route and just put him onto a firecracker. And just let him fall down with the wrapper. He didn't find it that funny. I did, but
I think it's hysterical. Put him on
the budget way.
Put him on a bottle rocket and let him go. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just
all about the budget.
It's just a shorter ride, right? I mean, that's all it is. And he gets a colorful ending, right?
Yeah.
Why not? The Cape Cod resident's family is sending his ashes into the cosmos to fulfill the space fan's final wish. The daughter of a Cape Cod man who passed away in, I believe it's 2021 here, will honor her father by launching his ashes into space. The cremains of David Allen Lavender will blast into space on a Celestis Memorial spaceflight mission known as Serenity. According to a Celestis spokesperson, Lavender is this is an actual town, Mashpee. He's a Mashpee resident. Every time I Mashpee, I get it all over the place. He was a 65-year-old who passed away in January 28th of 2021. The cosmic journey is meant to fulfill Lavender's last wish. Ever since he was young, David wished to be an astronaut. Celestis said in a press release he had a deep love and infatuation with all things space-related. When he was little, he memorized all 7 of the original astronauts and made sure he was always staying up to date on and watching all of NASA's missions. The memorial flight is scheduled for mid-2025 from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The Serenity flight will launch into Earth orbit aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9. The launch service will be provided by Above Space through SpaceX's SmallSat rideshare program. We are honored and pleased to have David on board Serenity, said Charles M. Schaefer, who's the co-founder and CEO of Celestis Incorporated. Our memorial space flights are tributes to a life well lived and do those who are reaching the stars. Lavender worked as a local news editor and videographer, but also had an avid interest in outer space and sci-fi, according to Celestis. He built and launched his own rockets and constructed a large version of the International Space Station, which he donated to a local school for educational purposes. Lavender was also a fan of Star Trek and other science fiction. David made it very clear that whenever he passed, It was his wish to have his ashes launched into space, Celestis said in a press release. The Serenity flight will be housed in above space's Prometheus Sparks satellite and will carry a symbolic portion of each flight participant's cremated remains, or DNA. It will be deployed into low Earth orbit and circle the planet for nearly a decade before re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, where it will blaze and disintegrate like a shooting star. What if, follow me here, Mallie,
Okay.
a small part of the cremains get through the atmosphere, and you're just walking along eating a hot dog one day, and all of a sudden, here comes David through the atmosphere, all over your hot dog.
Oh. Then you're a cannibal.
Yeah. And you get a little David on your hot dog. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know the chances are slim to none. And Slim's at the bar having a drink. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's probably not going to happen.
But with our luck, it probably would.
Right. But I'd have one of those days, right? Where I'd, you know, like it's like I'm in New York City. I decide to get a soubrette from the corner, right? Mm-hmm. You know, one of those dirty hot dogs like Pop used to say. You get a dirty hot dog from the corner. I haven't had one in decades. I pull up, I get one with onions and mustard, and I'm like, oh, I haven't had one in decades, right? I go to take that first bite, and here comes David from the sky, right? And right as I go to take that first bite, I get a mouthful of ash. Just saying. I don't think it's a good idea. It's no better of an idea than trying to bury cremains at Disney.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to still try and do it.
Yeah.
Even though we've been warned.
Yeah. That's what I think.
They've got cameras everywhere.
Yeah. By the way, the flight will be Celestis' 12th Earth orbit mission, so they've done this 11 times before. 11.
And how much was it? Did they give a price?
I don't think they have. It's 24th overall mission since its 1994 founding. So there's 24 opportunities for somebody's ashes to dump on your head. Reservations for the memorial launch will be open until March 1st. So, by the way, if you want to get somebody on board to dump on your head, you've got until March 1st. Just saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You find that creepy at all?
What, ashes coming down?
Yeah. I mean, not to be launched into space. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. But, I mean, just the whole idea that you could come down into the atmosphere and burn up.
Well, I don't like the idea of burning up, period. So
I don't either. No.
Just, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's nothing you can do, but.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, it just.
But I'd rather have ashes fall down on me than airplane waste where people think it's meteors.
Right. Yeah.
Because you know that we've done stories on that.
I'd rather not have the blue ball of crap hit me while I'm eating a hot dog than
Right.
ashes. Yeah.
Because at least you can kind of just blow off the ashes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't get in the mustard or the onion, yeah, you can.
Right.
Here, dunk this back in the dirty hot dog water for a minute, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want a redo.
It'll just give it a grill taste.
Yeah. Oh, the grill taste.
A charcoal grill taste rather than a boiled taste.
Did you get rid of the human taste on this real quick? Just give it a dip. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they say human tastes like
Chicken?
swine anyways. So, God, I think we need to get off this subject. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, oh boy, we have a little nightmare fuel on the other side of this. Just saying. I'll leave it for the other side of this because I've got some interesting stories on that side as well. We got plenty of ghosty stories today, Mal.
Ooh, I like it.
Ghosty and psychic stories, including the fact that, and we've got one celebrity psychic story, the fact that, are you ready for this? the royals have consulted psychics. I know this isn't a news story. I know you may think, well, come on, Tim. Of course, the royals have consulted psychics. But it turns out that Prince Harry contacted Princess Diana through a psychic at one point. Yeah. And a psychic who claimed to have had powers. We'll tell you all about it. It's kind of interesting, to say the least. I've got a story from your neck of the woods. It's absolutely going to curl your hair, Mal.
Ooh.
Has to do with a Detroit priest who, while on an exorcism, I don't even know that I dare say this because the headline in itself is just plain creepus delecti, as my mom used to say. Let's just put it this way. It involves, during the exorcism, flossing with someone's hair.
Ew.
I'll tease it with that.
Hopefully it's not from my hometown, because the last time you talked about a story at the movie theater,
right around the corner.
It was like 7 minutes from my house.
Yeah, well,
not from my town at least, but the next town over.
We'll just we'll see if we can get you to stay awake tonight. We'll put it that way. It's
great.
Yeah, lots of fun today, Mal. Lots of fun today, and we're going to end today by telling you how you can get a job, much like I described before, being a tour guide in a prison, being a paranormal tour guide in a prison. So, we're trying to stimulate the economy here on Darkness Radio. Trying to get you a job. You slacker. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to get you a job. So how do you like them apples? Just saying. So that's what's on tap today on the best in paranormal podcasting. Yeah. A Detroit priest was accused of flossing his teeth with the teen girl's hair and growling at her during an exorcism.
Jeez Louise.
We'll tell you about that on the other side of the break. It's a fun show today. What can I say? We got lots of good stuff ahead. So, Supernatural News Wednesday, right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. We'll be right back, right here on Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there, best in the Midwest, the crown jewel, the pearl of the paranormal. Is it better when I set it up that way, Mallie? Mallie Fox?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Now I don't have pictures of me in a brothel. But the cost of living is pretty high, so I might need a second job if I can't get that tour guide at a prison. Right. I was going to say the cost of living is going up everywhere and going up quickly. So, yeah. Well, we all may have to have a second job soon here, Mel. So. Just saying, yeah. I come across your thing on OnlyFans. We're like, hey. my OnlyFans page, which, dear God, if I've got an OnlyFans page, you better take good care of your eyes. That's all I gotta say. That could be dangerous. That'll cause an astigmatism quick. That's all I gotta say. Mine will just be for like food fetishes. All I do is just eat. Oh. That I would actually enjoy that one. Hey, maybe food porn on the OnlyFans. Yeah, I'm not sitting on the food. I'm just eating it. Wait, have you noticed how popular people telling stories while eating? Like, people are just like, ooh, what's that? I'm not sitting on the food. Oh my God, I think you just created a new genre. No, I think there was like some like CSI or some type of show where that was part of the thing, is that they had to sit on stuff, on food. What? I think that was an episode. Really? Or maybe I just came up with it. I don't know. I think you just came up with that.
Sitting naked on food. That's a $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
Look at you. No.
I'll just eat it.
Just eat it. Someone's going to steal that idea.
I don't like squishy things.
You may not, but there may be millions of people right now that are like, oh my God.
Stop, your camera's totally moving when you did that. It was jiggling back and forth.
Somebody out there is like, squishy, squishy. Yeah. Someone's got to love it.
Yeah.
I know this much, Mal. It's going to make somebody happy. Oh, I did it. No. That means only one thing. It's time now for the old AI news. Although, I'm in the scientist corner on this next story, Mel.
Okay.
Scientists are proposing making AI suffer to see if it's sentient.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're going to get in there. Oh, wait, now somebody's thinking. Just saying. A new study shows that large language models make trade-offs to avoid pain with possible implications for its future AI welfare. I know that sentence may sound difficult. In the quest for a reliable way to detect any strings of a sentient eye in artificial intelligence systems, researchers are turning to one area of expertise: pain. That sounds like a movie line.
Yep.
Recipe calls for pain. That inarguably unites a vast swath of living beings, from hermit crabs to humans. For a new preprint study posted online but not yet peer-reviewed, scientists at Google DeepMind and the London School of Economics and Political Science, LSE, created a text-based game. They ordered several large language models, or LLMs, the AI systems behind familiar chatbots such as ChatGPT, to play it and to score as many points as possible in two different scenarios. In one, the team informed the models that achieving a high score would incur pain. Yeah. In the other, the models were given a low-scoring but pleasurable option. So either avoiding pain or seeking pleasure would detract from the main goal. After observing the model's response, the researchers say this first-of-its-kind test could help humans learn how to probe complex AI systems for sentience. In animals, sentience is the capacity to experience sensations and emotions such as pain, pleasure, and fear. Most AI experts agree that modern generative AI models do not, and maybe never can, have a subjective consciousness, despite isolated claims to the contrary. And to be clear, the study's authors aren't saying that any of the chatbots they evaluated are sentient, but they believe their study offers a framework to start developing future tests for this characteristic. It's a new area of research, said the study's co-author, Jonathan Birch, a professor at the Department of Philosophy, Logic, and Scientific Method at LSE. We have to recognize that we don't actually have a comprehensive test for AI sentience. Some prior studies that relied on AI models' self-reports of their own internal states are thought to be dubious. A model may represent or simply reproduce the human behavior that it was trained on. So in other words, as I stumble through this, they don't know for sure that it has sentience, but they can test it to see if it has sentience. They don't know for sure, right? The new study instead is based on earlier work with animals. In a well-known experiment, a team zapped hermit crabs with electric shocks of varying voltage. Oh my God, that's not very nice.
Not at all.
Noting what level of pain prompted the crustaceans to abandon their shell. But one obvious problem with AIs is there's no behavior as such, because there's no animal and thus no physical actions to observe, Birch says. In earlier studies that aimed to evaluate LLMs for sentience, the only behavioral signal scientists had to work with was the model's text output. So what do? Shock the thing until it tells you, ouch?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. That's an interesting study, that's for sure. I mean, in the new study, by the way, the authors probed the LLMs without asking the chat box direct questions about their experiential states. Instead, the team used what animal behavioral scientists call a trade-off paradigm. So in the case of animals, these trade-offs might be based around incentives to obtain food or avoid pain. So much like we stated before, in the game, it was the higher the score, the more the pain, the lower the score, the more the pleasure. So that was their choice.
It just doesn't seem right, though.
To the machine?
I don't know. Just the whole... I don't know.
Are you feeling for the machines, Mallie?
Maybe, or maybe I'm thinking revenge.
Oh, if they come back at us?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you just don't want your skull crushed by a Terminator? Is that what it is?
No, thank you.
Okay. No, neither do I. Or something else crushed by the machines, because this story, meanwhile, there's been a warning issued to the male pleasure machine addicts out there that the device tricks the brain. So you don't want something else crushed by a machine. Boys, just saying. Listen to the name of this thing, Mallie. This is what made me laugh. The Auto Blow Ultra.
Did you say glow or blow?
Blow.
Oh.
The Auto Blow Ultra, invented by Brian Sloan, is a male pleasure machine that is synchronized with adult videos. I love your reaction. Oh. And is now believed to be so addictive that it can impair real-life sexual relationships. Go touch grass.
Yeah.
I mean, right? The inventor of a revolutionary AI toy which promises a mind-blowing experience says a lot of his customers are addicted to the technology. And what's more, he says he's concerned that overuse could lead to a drop in the population. Get over yourself. I mean, seriously. As users get swept up in a fantasy world, as a result of his findings, Auto Blow Ultra inventor Brian Sloan has now decided to run warning labels on his product to alert customers and consumers of its potential negative side effect. The male pleasure machine is synced with audio or adult videos inspired by the rubber hand experiment.
Oh, jeez.
That's going to be the name of my new rock group. The rubber hand
experiment.
Yeah, the rubber hand experiment. Yeah. Which tricks viewers' brains into feeling that the actions occurring to the on-screen actors are actually occurring to them. While intended to be a fun and novel way to experience pleasure, Sloan found video sync usage so high among a subset of his customers that he believes that he's contributing to an epidemic of high-tech self-pleasuring addiction that is harming to them. As a result, he will, in the style of cigarette warning labels, and as a first ever to a sex toy company, place warning labels on the devices. We're officially lost as a society, Mel. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've officially become monkeys. The warning will cite the key potential negative side effects of synced and VR content as identified by multiple academic papers and its impairments of real-life sexual relationships. Brian said, "At first, I thought our synced porn feature was harmless fun, but then we noticed that 15% of our users were spending more than an hour a day connected, with some user sessions lasting several hours." Oh, that thing's going to fall off.
Yeah.
Several hours?
A little chafing going on.
A little. You're going to get that thing yanked off. I mean, it's just going to come off in the machine one day. I understood that the experience for some men went from a fun and novel way to self-pleasure to one that opened dopamine floodgates that may find it possible to close. I still intend to continue providing the best experiences to auto blow users. But for the first,
the name
auto blow.
Good God.
You remember the Soul Glow commercial from Coming to America?
Barely.
Can you see Niles Rodgers from Chic making the auto blow commercial? Just let your auto blow. Yeah, that'd be one of those deals. So he says he'll continue providing the best experiences to auto blow users, but for the first time in my 16 years of selling male pleasuring machines, I now feel a responsibility to warn men to use this new technology with care. It's an auto jerk machine. What kind of care can you use?
Yeah.
Right? He says, I entered the adult industry to help men feel their best, not to turn them into depressed, anxious zombies who lose interest in real life partners. Additionally, I have real concerns for now, or how this technology could accelerate a human population decline. Mm-hmm. They're already playing video games.
Maybe you don't want offspring off these people.
Thank you, Mallie.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're weeding out the population. Thank you for doing
let's not spread that DNA.
Yeah, thank you for doing us a favor. We appreciate it. Yeah. Let them auto blow in the corner. We'll get the survival of the fittest, right? the well-deserving women who want real partners, or we'll find them. Yeah. Let the auto jerks stay in the corner. It's just fine. We're good. All right, let's move on, shall we?
Yes.
This next story has to do with a person who lived in an abandoned hospital and found something terrifying behind a locked door. Aisha Barrett is a TV producer based in London and used to live in an abandoned hospital and shared a video on TikTok of something spooky that she once stumbled across. The woman who once resided in an abandoned hospital has shared a chilling discovery she made while exploring her unconventional home. Aisha Barrett, a London-based TV producer, used to live in a deserted hospital as a property guardian, a scheme that allows people to live affordably in vacant properties to assure that they're maintained. During her stay in an empty hospital where over 100 other tenants also lived, she stumbled upon a corridor lined with padlocked doors, which she believed was the hospital's morgue. The TV producer, known for her work on Celebrity Coach Trip, The Fortune Hotel, and Great British Bake Off, posted a video on TikTok of her walking down the eerie corridor. She captioned the clip, "Point of view, finding the morgue in the abandoned hospital I live in." Yeah, not a good title. In the video, she said, "This is the morgue. People do ask me about this all the time, so this is the morgue." She pointed out the padlocks on the doors, saying, "As you can see, they've got these on them. I didn't know originally what these were, but that's what someone told me in the comments." Aisha ventured down the entire corridor, admitting that she'd never come here before encountering another corridor blocked by a wooden panel. A poster slapped on the door issued a stark warning: "No unauthorized persons allowed beyond this point," ramping up the eeriness. Backing out from the location, she stated, "It's creepy. Might be a little bit too creepy for me, this part, but people always ask, 'Where's the morgue? Where's the morgue?' And I think I finally found it." She vowed, "Don't ask me to go there again. I don't want to get possessed." I don't know. Can you get possessed at the morgue?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But yeah, that's her experience. Trying to see if there's video here of her going to the morgue. I don't see.
But nothing came out of it.
Here we go. Aisha added a dash of sarcasm to her TikTok post, adding, "A corridor filled with padlocked doors in the suspected morgue area of the abandoned hospital I live in. That's okay. That's so fine. Morgues serve as a waiting room for the deceased until final identification, burial, or cremation can occur. and are also utilized for autopsies to establish causes of death. The video has racked up over 743,000 views, 38,000 likes, and hundreds of comments. And it's safe to say people were equally as freaked out. One theorized there's a face peering at you through the glass in the door by the morgue area. Another asked, what was that lump on the floor?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if there's a video attached to this so that I could post this for you guys, but I'm not seeing a video with this. It's not populating very well either, but
Okay.
I'm not seeing a video with it. So if I find one, I'll post it for you. If not, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave it as be. Our next story has to do with a caregiver that says a psychic medium helped her find a missing San Antonio man. In this story, it goes, I kept hearing mentally, follow the birds, follow the birds, follow the birds, according to Vic Andrea, psychic medium. You know what? I think this is an audio daily double. So let me hook this up quickly. Let's see here. Give me a second. So let's go to that story now.
An elderly San Antonio man went missing for several days after he got away from his personal caretaker. That caretaker says she has someone unusual to thank for helping get him back home. Our sister station in San Antonio has that story.
On the morning of Friday, December 20th, 62-year-old Eric Allen White got away from a personal care home near the Alamo Ranch area.
He was able to get out of two side gates, and he sort of busted through one of them. So.
White's caregiver, Angelica Diaz, says he has a cognitive impairment and dementia, so police were called immediately. A clear alert was also issued for White.
So Saturday morning, same thing. We get up, we're looking for him, posting flyers on Facebook.
One of those flyers came across the eyes of Vic Andrea.
It was a Friday night.
A self-proclaimed psychic medium who says she felt a connection, so she reached out to Diaz, offering to help. Desperate, Diaz accepted and agreed to meet Sunday afternoon. Andrea says she didn't want the connection to go away, so she started praying to the Archangel Michael and meditating.
I just started getting downloads, and I could see like his path. It's like a vision, like a movie.
Andrea wrote down notes.
I got summer, and I'm like, ooh, is he saying summer because he wants it to be summer because he's so cold?
Diaz says Summer is the name of Eric's daughter, and she had written Jason, his stepson's name.
And I thought, oh wow, that's really uncanny. How does she know that? Okay, she's the real deal.
Before they were to meet that Sunday, Andrea says she kept receiving messages on her way home.
I kept hearing mentally, follow the birds.
She followed birds she saw through a greenway belt, leading her to White.
I found him.
Who had been missing for 3 days and 2 nights.
I was shocked.
Andrea called Diaz with the news.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. And I started crying. And
White had minor injuries and was taken to the hospital where he made a full recovery. Diaz says she believes he may have not made it another night. Andrea says she has a spiritual gift, connected with God, angels, with guides, and a light.
Rather people want to believe it or not, I've learned to accept that that's on them.
What do you think of that, Mel?
That's interesting, though, to follow the birds and then you find them.
Yeah. That's something else, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. The visual, of course, I've got the advantage of being able to watch the visual while you guys are listening. The man was actually laying down in the cemetery. It was very interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of reenacting it, but I mean, he's sitting there laying in the cemetery. It was very interesting. So, it looked like kind of a cemetery, kind of like a little rocky area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was bizarre, just bizarre that she picked that up. So, yeah, cool story. Very cool story. Another story of another psychic debunking something, this time on TV. You know, it seems like we have quite a few psychic friends that make appearances on paranormal shows, and seem to throw out information. A lot of times, I think people tend to, when they see the information, they think, oh, they got fed information. And of course, they're making a prediction based on stuff they've been fed, right? Well, comic Omid Jalili and a TV psychic debunk a fake news item about England's last warrior king. A new Sky History TV show hosted by comic Omid Jalili and metaphysical Sherlock Holmes discover the gory truth behind the Battle of Bosworth. Comedian Omid Jalili is full of surprises, especially when it comes to Donald Trump, who shares his passion to fight fake news. Only Omid's quest is restricted to shattering just one myth, that Richard III, whose remains were discovered under a Leicester car park, was a hunchback and a tyrant. Somewhat counterintuitively, he is hoping to rewrite history, establish the truth of what happened at the Battle of Bosworth, and prove that King Richard was a hero and not a villain, with the help of a psychic. Constantine, I believe it is Pavlidis, I believe it is, or Pavlidis. He calls him a metaphysical Sherlock Holmes. But that's Omid all over. A massive contradictions and tales of the hilariously unexpected. A desire to debunk fake news is not the only thing that he has in common with Donald Trump either. More on that later. In a rather alternative Sky History show called Battlefield Healers, Omid examines how the Battle of Bosworth, fought as a part of the Wars of the Roses, changed England forever. And Constantine uses his powers to discover where the last king to die in the battle fell, all to heal the blood-soaked earth from the ghosts of a 400-year-old war. Speaking exclusively to the Mirror during a break from his sellout stand-up UK tour, Namaste, Omid says the whole experience, working with spiritualists, historians, and archaeologists, banished his skepticism. The quote from him is that we challenge people's perceptions of Richard III. He wasn't just some evil hunchback. He was a strong warrior, he says, contradicting the picture of the monarch painted by William Shakespeare. There's evidence that he tried to fight back against 10 to 15 soldiers until the very last moment. It will shock people when they see the post-mortem on the skeleton. I mean, they rammed a sword up his backside. Ouch. Sword up his backside. In the show, they turn the clock back to August 22nd, 1485, when Welsh King Henry Tudor brought a small rebel army to face the much larger royal army of his cousin King Richard III in the last major battle of the War of the Roses, the civil war that divided England. It took place near Albion Hill, Market Bosworth in Leicestershire, which is where the TV show's psychic picks up powerful energies and performs a ritual healing of the land, as well as the revelation about King Richard's grisly end. Battlefield Healers reveals that the 2-hour-plus battle between 16,000-odd soldiers in an age long before television provided entertainment for villagers. They enjoyed picnics on the edge of the field where 1,000 men were brutally killed. I don't know, Mallie, is having a picnic on a battlefield a big thing for you while it's going on?
Not while it's going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to relax.
Yeah. Although sitting on food, that's a big thing, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Omid says historians have always worked with psychics at an official level to get the truth. It came as a surprise to me, too, but when they found the remains of Richard III, it was because of a medium saying, I'm getting messages that it's here. And the council found his skeleton under a car park. But he admits of the show, this will really be controversial when it comes out. There will be many skeptics. I am spiritually minded, but when Constantine was saying, I'm feeling something while we were filming, it was funny to me. I'm glad the comedian found some humor in it. And when he was approached to take part in the show, he says, I asked, why me? And they said, because you're open-minded. Psychic or not, the battlefield is an eerie place. According to Omid, he says, when you go to the site, you don't have to be a medium to think, my God, something bad happened here. There are bits in the ground that feel like bones. There's a swamp. It's eerie and it's horrible. I don't know that I want to be stepping on bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Constantine did this whole healing ceremony, and afterwards it felt like there was some kind of closure. Born in Kensington, West London in 1965 to Iranian parents who had fled their native country, Omid says his faith had made it easier to comprehend the spiritual world. He says, I also come from the Baha'i faith, which believes in the harmony of science and religion. I was raised with quotes like, you are not a puny form. The universe is folded within you. Our particles are from the universe. We are literally stardust. And while the whole venture into mediumship and battlefields may seem like a far cry from his stand-up persona, his CV paints him as a hard man to pigeonhole. As well as being an award-winning comic, he's appeared in Hollywood movies like Gladiator and The Mummy, and brought the house down on stage playing Tai Wei in Fiddler on the Roof. But he feared it was all over, career-wise, during COVID, when he had to downsize and leave London for Ipswich in Suffolk. Seeing life at 59 as his second chance, he says, the mortgage in London was too high, and I didn't think I was going to work again after COVID. I realized how non-essential stand-up comics really are. Now, with his own successful production company, he's concentrating more on films and documentaries, saying, it's my children's production company. Of his 3 adult offspring, he's added, it was made clear to me that it is not your production company. You are the face of it, but we are equals. We often have arguments on Zoom, he says. One lives in Sicily, one's in London, and I'm in Ipswich. Even today, I mentioned something, and they were pushing back, and I said, I can't work with you lot. And they said, look, you're not funny. So I told them, okay, why don't
Ouch.
you... Yeah, I know, right? Got a bunch of bastard children running around, I guess. He said, okay, why don't you suggest something? Why don't you go win a few comedy awards? Well, that's good. That's working him back, right? He's also tickled to be getting a new generation of fans to his gigs. He said, my audience is usually age 40 to 75. And so when I talk, we're on board. But more people in their 20s are coming to the shows. A friend said when they came to my gig, they heard a young woman in the bathroom saying, he's really funny. Yeah, he's my granddad's favorite comic. Yikes. I feel like I should bail on this. But essentially, yeah, so they found some remains there of Richard III.
Wasn't the parking space that they found him under, wasn't there a big R?
I thought there was.
Yeah, which was kind of cool as well.
Yeah,
kind of coincidence, but
and it was kind of the I think you're right, Mallie. It was kind of the stamp on the whole deal, right? To kind of validate it, right?
Yeah.
At least I believe so. Right. Our next story has to do with Prince Harry contacting Princess Diana through a psychic who claimed to have powers. Prince Harry opened up about trying to contact his late mother, Princess Diana, through a psychic medium who allegedly told him she was living the life that she wanted for him. Prince Harry has shared an emotional account of contacting his late mother, Princess Diana, through a psychic who allegedly possessed supernatural abilities. In his memoir, Spare, the Duke of Sussex reveals that he sought the assistance of a medium to communicate with his mother, who tragically died in a car accident in Paris in 1997. Boy, it was that long ago already.
I know, right? It doesn't seem like it was that long.
It was just weeks before his 13th birthday. The Duke was fortunate enough to receive a message from the late princess through the psychic, who told him that he was living the life she couldn't. The psychic reportedly told the now 40-year-old Harry, you're living the life that she wanted for you. Okay, well, I mean, that's not a stretch, right? In his memoir, Harry also alleged that the unnamed woman informed him that his mother was with him right now, causing his neck to warm and his eyes to tear up. She continued saying Diana knew he was looking for clarity and feels your confusion, adding that she understood that he had so many questions and that answers would come in time. That's kind of generic. I'm not going to lie there. In another section of the book, Harry recounts being told that his mother's spirit had witnessed his son, Prince Archie, breaking a Christmas tree ornament shaped like the late Queen Elizabeth. The psychic reportedly questioned the Duke about the broken ornament, to which he confessed his son was trying to repair it. Interesting. The medium then suggested that Diana had found amusement in the incident as she watched her grandson, whom she had never met. Another snippet from Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, describes a chilling moment when he encountered a leopard during a trip to Botswana with his brother, Prince William. Harry interpreted the animal's presence as a sign from his late mother, Diana, suggesting that everything will be fine. Despite the comforting thought, Harry confesses he also feared a more harrowing outcome, that he might be devoured. The prince has openly discussed his profound struggles following Diana's death, even entertaining the brief, desperate notion that she might have staged her demise. Continuing his search for clarity, he has made multiple drives through the Paris tunnel where Diana's life was tragically cut short. I don't know. What do you think, Mel?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people have gone to see psychics, especially if you're trying to get in touch with a loved one. This person, though,
I don't think she did much for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if Diana was truly with him, she would have stopped the marriage with Meghan. I don't trust Meghan as far as I can throw her.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I've had deep conversations with my mother over this because my mom liked her, and I'm like, nope.
I get a bad feeling from her, too.
Yeah. I don't trust her at all.
I don't. There's just something about her. And it's not that she's, don't get me wrong. I know there's dysfunction in the royal family, right?
Yes.
I get that. And it's a deep-seated dysfunction. But to be the wedge, right?
Yeah.
And you knew what you're getting into, right? When you got into that film.
Oh, God, yes.
You knew what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And to completely flake out after such a short time.
Mm-hmm.
Something's not right there.
Right.
Right?
Well, there's so many discrepancies with what she's said and what you find out is true and just all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't trust her.
And if it's such a bad organization.
But she still wants to use the title.
Right. Yeah. She wants all the pomp and circumstance, wants the title, wants the security, wants everything that's there, but give me my space. Mm-hmm. Why is it that the other wives have no issue?
Right, exactly.
Why are they okay? I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, mind you, they have hard lives too. I get it.
Yeah.
Mind you, they face the quote unquote adoring public as well. Mm-hmm. Why is it they handle it with more grace?
Yeah.
So why does she have the major misfunction and dysfunction and they don't? I mean, mind you, I know not everybody's cut out for that life. I get it.
Right.
I get it. But shouldn't that have been Harry's job to vet her and make sure that she was ready for that life? And if she wasn't, maybe that shouldn't have been his choice for a life mate?
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's, here we go, being with psychology, but I mean, maybe because his mother died when he was so young, maybe he was looking for a woman that would kind of be like a controlling person, like just, I don't know. So he kind of looked for that and she was it. I don't know.
Well, if you want to talk deep psychology, and we'll make it short and to the point, and here it is. I think secretly he was afraid that he would befall the same fate his mother did if he stayed there, right? Mm-hmm. And he always had the boogeyman feeling that they were going to kill him the same way his mother would be killed if he stayed. So he was looking for someone who would take him out of there. Mm-hmm. And she had the same attitude about the place that he did. So he just figured, if I marry her, she'll take me out of here. And so he found a mate that would take him out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, what other reason is there to marry her other than she's the excuse for me to get out of here?
Right. Sure.
You know, she'll take the heat. She'll take the heat. She'll be the strong one. I'll finally be able to bail. Because there's no other reason for him to want to leave. Right? I think maybe we put too much emphasis on her when maybe it's him that didn't have the cojones to stand up to dad and say, I don't really want to do this anymore. This isn't me. I'm really more like my mother than I am like you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But I think she's got some juju over him to separate him or isolate him from his family. Maybe it's easier to do what she says rather than deal with the consequences.
Oh, I certainly think she wears the pants of the family. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But I think she purposely isolated him from his loved ones because she has better control. And I'm only speaking from experience because I love my father, but he was never around. And so I always dated controlling assholes. Mm-hmm. And I have been in relationships where they have isolated me from loved ones, friends and family, because that was their way of control. And it was easier just to deal with it. And also my ego, because I didn't want to have my parents say, I told you so. But like where I moved states to be with someone and gave up everything.
I can see what you're saying. I think the only reason there's tension with his brother is because his brother thinks that she changed him.
Mm-hmm. I think he sees her bullshit. Excuse my French.
No, and I get it. Yeah, he does. And he does. But I think he chooses to think that she changed him when really he's been that way all along. And he's just hid that side from his brother. You know, and I think that the minute their mother died, Harry decided he didn't want to be there. And he just didn't want to tell William, right? Because how do you share that with your brother and tell him, well, I want to get out of here? And maybe he did. Maybe he did tell William, because William's always been the one who's been faithful to dad.
Right.
So.
But he supported the nasty stuff she said about the royal family.
Well, because he can't say it himself. Well, what happens if, think about it. I mean, if you think about it, Mal, should things go bad between them, he eventually has to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not.
That's why you should have never let her say anything bad about the family.
Well, no,
I mean, I might not agree with my family, but I will not let someone speak poorly of my family.
But it's a brilliant strategy. Because if she's the one saying the bad stuff and he's not.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Then it was all her fault.
Yeah.
She was the crazy one.
Yeah.
I just, you have to understand, I had to back my wife, because if I don't back my wife, then, you know, I'm sorry. It was a moment of madness. You have to forgive me, right? And then you walk back into the family and you leave her be. That's the way it's been for centuries, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, look at how disposable wives have been in the monarchy for years and years, and decades and decades, and centuries and centuries. So it's unusual for him to follow the wife and not abide by the father. So he follows the wife, and if she continues the strong behavior, as it were, and it's not agreeable with the crown, then eventually, if he tires of her, and I hate to use that language, but that's what it would be in the eyes of the crown. If he tires of her and decides he wants a divorce, well, then he can always go back home, because he just says, well, Father, I lost my head. And he'll say, that's all right, son, as long as you come back with hat in hand, then you're welcome. And so it is. I don't think Charles is very forgiving right now. He's not, right? But as he gets older, he's going to want his son to reconcile with the family.
Yeah.
It'll happen. But yeah. But you see, he's playing it smart right now because he's not strong enough on his own to say those things. So he lets the wife do it. And he just stays silent. He's playing both sides. I don't think he's as browbeaten as you think he is. I think he's playing both sides. So that's why I don't feel too sorry for him. I think he's he's the one who, and I think that's why public opinion is kind of not only turned against her, I think it's turned against him. I think that's why the ratings are down with their Netflix specials and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's why people have turned them off because they see the dynamic of both of them. That's why they haven't become the darlings of America, because it's like, well, you know.
Yeah, but they thought they were going to be.
Right, because you know what? America loves a good family story. Mm-hmm. They don't love it when you turn on your family. That's why America loved the royals, because it was a family story.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute you cast your family off and you thumb your nose at them, well, what's wrong with you? You know, why should we watch you? You think you're better than your family. Oh, we don't really want to.
Right.
You know, we don't have any interest in that. So let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. This story may be in your neck of the woods, Mel. We're going to Detroit, where a Detroit priest is accused of flossing his teeth with a teen girl's hair and growling at her. A Detroit priest who also bills himself as an exorcist was charged in Illinois this week in connection with a November incident in which he allegedly flossed his teeth with the hair of a teenage girl. According to Fox 2 Detroit, Reverend Carlos Martins surrendered to police in Illinois and is facing with a misdemeanor battery charge that could land him in jail for up to 1 year. Martins was in Illinois in November while working as a traveling priest. While there, he allegedly approached the 13-year-old girl about her hair and asked her if she ever flossed her teeth with her own hair. Okay, that's creep.
He just sounds like a perv.
Yeah, that's creep central right there. Martins then picked up some of her hair and placed it in his mouth and made a flossing motion. This is getting bizarre. A short time later, Martins sat in a pew behind the girl and began growling at her. The allegations were made by the 13-year-old victim and other witnesses who claim to have seen the incident happen. Martins currently lives and works at the Companions of Cross Church in Detroit. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
But representatives of the church have confirmed that he is unable to work with the public while the court case unfolds. Martins is also the star of the podcast The Exorcist Files and recently released a book under the same name. Maybe we can get him on the show.
There you go.
Ask him what part of the Bible flossing with a teen's hair is under.
Yeah.
Not quite sure. No idea.
Guy just sounds like a creep.
Yeah, a little bit. Speaking of looking up chapters in the Bible, we found one that's not necessarily there because it was in a Vatican manuscript the entire time. A little bit of an archaeology breakthrough. A unique 1,500-year-old hidden Bible chapter was unearthed in a Vatican manuscript. Scientists have discovered a hidden chapter of the Bible dating back nearly 1,500 years. The remarkable finding, concealed beneath 3 layers of text, was revealed through ultraviolet photography, according to research published in the journal New Testament Studies. The newly uncovered text represents one of the earliest translations of the Gospels and provides fresh insight into the interpretation of New Testament's Matthew 12. The discovery is part of the Old Syriac version of the Bible, known as the Peshitta. Peshitta. I think it's got an I. It could be the Peshitta. Peshitta? Let's call the whole thing off.
Right.
And preserved today in just 4 manuscripts, both of which are plagued by gaps. There's a gap in your Peshitta. I'm just saying. Researchers believe this fragment is the only surviving piece of the 4th manuscript in the set. The finding offers what scientists describe as a unique gateway into how the Gospels were copied, preserved, and spread across generations. The text reveals notable variations in how biblical information was translated across different versions. A clear example of translation differences can be seen in Matthew chapter 12, verse 1. The original Greek version states, "At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples became hungry and began to pick the heads of grain and eat." The Syriac translation adds more detail, describing how the disciples began to pick the heads of grain, rub them in their hands, and eat them. There you go. But, semantics.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Experts have dated the manuscript to the first half of the 6th century through comparisons with other Syriac texts. I'll get that right. During this period, parchment paper was scarce in the region, leading scribes to reuse pages by erasing earlier biblical text, a practice known as palimpsest. That's what it is. Claudia Rapp, director of the Institute of Medieval Research at the Austrian Academy of Science, says this discovery proves how productive and important the interplay between modern digital technologies and basic research can be when dealing with medieval manuscripts. Prior to this discovery, only 2 manuscripts containing the Old Syriac translation were known to exist. One at the British Library in London, another at the St. Catherine's Monastery on Mount Sinai. The Peshitta, let's call the whole thing off, remains the oldest surviving Syriac translation of the Bible, with its Hebrew text translation dating to the 2nd century A.D. Wow, that's an old text. The New Testament portion was translated from the Koine Greek in the early 5th century and continues to be used today in sermons, poetry, prayers, and hymns by churches in the Syriac tradition. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of neat. All right, we got a witch story and a witchcraft story for our next story. Villagers expel traditional healer over witchcraft allegations. I believe we are going to Africa for this one. Bear with me on this one, Mal. Residents of the Malenge village in the Katanda sub-county have banished a traditional healer, Burunji Sajabi, over allegations of practicing witchcraft, accusing him of disturbing the community with blood rituals and dark magic. The decision following an emergency village meeting chaired by Malenge village chairman Lawrence Mulawinda, attended by local leaders and security officers from Katanda. The meeting addressed growing concerns that Sajabi was using charms and engaging in occult practices. According to Mulindwa, there we go. Residents had repeatedly complained about mysterious blood being poured on roads, which they linked to Sajabi's activities. He had arrived in the village in April last year, claiming to be the son of an elder named Speely, and stating that he had come to practice traditional medicine. However, his documents were later found to be forged, and he was initially expelled, only to return with the support of Katinda police. Suspicion deepened when Speely's biological son denied any relations to Sajabi, accusing him of impersonation to gain access to their father's land. Joseph Kamade, one of the sons, claimed that witchcraft-related incidents began 2 months after Sajabi's arrival. The head of traditional healers in Kitanda, Kitawalame Masabwa is what it is, also disowned Sajabe, stating that he was not recognized among legitimate healers in the sub-county. When questioned, Sajabe insisted that he was a trained healer, but failed to produce valid certification. Documents he presented indicated that he was actually from Kirawuza, from Nyendo Mukungwe, Masaka City, further fueling distrust. As pressure mounted, village leaders and residents agreed to expel him. Upon arriving at his home, Sajabe initially denied possessing any witchcraft materials. However, after residents forced open a locked room, they discovered a disturbing collection, including fresh blood, charms, calabashes, traditional cloths, animal skins, old coins, and other ritual objects. Villagers demanded that he reveal any hidden skulls, but he refused. Police intervened, arrested him, and confiscated the items for further investigation. Following his removal, relieved residents expressed hope that peace would return to the village after months of fear and anxiety. So it sounds like he's a witch. That's what I pull away from that story. That and that I speak somewhat fluid African?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Somewhat.
I'll never be accused of knowing it forwards and backwards.
True.
Right. There you go. All right. 2 more stories here. A mysterious burning river in Peru is so hot that it's boiling animals alive, Mal.
Ew. Gross.
Yes. The unique thermal river known as the Shanay Timpishka can be found in the Amazon rainforest in Peru. The idea of a river with water so hot that it can literally cook animals alive sounds like something out of a folk story, but as it turns out, such a river really does exist, and it's just as dangerous as it sounds. It's found deep in I believe this is the Mayantayacu region of Peru. The river, the Shanay Timpishka, sees temperatures of up to 100 degrees Celsius, which is enough to boil the water and kill any animals that venture too close. For years, stories of the river, the name of which translates to boiled with the heat of the sun, were met with considerable skepticism from the scientific community. It wasn't until geoscientist and explorer Andres Russo ventured there himself back in 2011 that it was confirmed that the river was the real deal. It was a phenomenon found nowhere else on Earth. The hottest temperature I've measured, according to him, is 210 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius in a river that flows. That's crazy. To put that into everyday terms, the average coffee that you drink is roughly 130 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yeah. So much, much hotter. It's hard to physically imagine that much hot water that if you stick your hand in and you will see 2nd or 3rd degree burns in a matter of seconds. Think about that. You just stick your hand in a river and boom, 2nd to 3rd degree burns. Simply being near the river is enough to make your nose and lungs burn. Yeah. I've seen a number of animals fall in, everything from birds to reptiles, he said. Complex organisms like us, we don't do well at those high temperatures. We literally start to cook to the bone.
Ew.
Yeah. Despite there being no volcanoes anywhere nearby, the river's immense heat is thought to come from fault-fed hot springs, which heat up rainwater that collect in the surrounding rocks. Suffice to say, this one river, you will definitely would not want to try swimming in. No. Not unless you want to become soup. That's for sure. All right. I promised you at the beginning of the program, I had a job for you. Especially one that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a paranormal investigator, that's for sure. Paranormal guides are wanted at a former prison. This is how we're going to end the program today. Joel Campbell is the owner of Shrewsbury Prison, and they're looking to fill an unusual vacancy, which is ghost tour guide. The former jail now operates as a tourist attraction and has previously been featured in TV dramas and celebrity reality show called Banged Up. I have a feeling this might be across the pond, Mallie.
Yeah, because I've never heard of that show.
You might have to move. The role will see people leading evening tours around the site, helping people investigate some of the paranormal activity there. Mr. Campbell said the prison was home to many spirits, including a young boy he believes from the Georgian times and a male prisoner that pulls women's hair. Yeah, you might not want to work there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You might not have any hair left. You might look like me after it's all said and done. He goes on to say, if you're scared of the dark, you're probably going to struggle a little bit with this job. One of the first spirits he says he saw was the shadow man who appeared in the prison's A wing. It was basically just a shadow of a former male prisoner around 6 feet who walks all the way along the back of the landings and just disappears into a cell, he said. It was one of those really weird things that I wasn't sure whether to be scared, excited, or relieved to see something. He added that the prison's C wing is the most haunted in the entire building. It doesn't matter who you are, how brave you are, whether you believe in ghosts or don't believe in ghosts. When it is 3 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black and you're the only person here, you walk faster down the landing than you would during the day. As for people looking to fill the ghost tour guide vacancies, well, Mr. Campbell is looking for people with an interest in all things spooky. Obviously, as you would expect, they need to have a passion for the paranormal, and they need not to be scared of the dark, he laughed. We'll have applications for you right at the end of the program here. You can go ahead and fill them out and send them in. Just saying.
So I know you said over the pond, but like where over the pond? Does it say?
Just Shrewsbury Prison.
Okay.
Yep.
So now I gotta Google.
Now you gotta Google. You gotta Google and get a hold of Joel Campbell.
Okay.
Yep. He's who you talk to.
Gotcha.
But there's an opening. I can't do all the work for you, Mel.
I know, but anyway. I was hoping it was within at least 100 miles.
I don't think.
I don't think that one.
No, I don't think Shrewsbury Prison is.
Dang, you're a tease.
No, yeah. I mean, do you want me to? Do you want me to do some quick Googling here for you while we sit here?
No, you don't have to. I can do it.
It's in Shrewsbury, England.
Okay, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, dang nabbit.
Yeah, I mean that's nowhere near Detroit.
No.
No, I can't put the mileage together for you. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can get a job at Eloise.
It's not a daily drive.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you might have to pack a lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was open in 1793.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's quite the old prison. But I'm telling you, it'd be well worth it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's got some. I'll tell you from taking a look at the pictures they have inside the prison. It looks pretty cool. Yeah.
Rub it in. Rub it in.
It looks like a pretty cool job. So I know we have listeners over there. So if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a cool job, there you go. So
good luck to you all, and I'm jealous.
Well, I'm just saying, Mel, you've been on TV. You might have the upper hand. Plus, they film a TV show over there.
That is true.
Yeah. Just saying, there might be another starring role for you.
I don't think my husband would allow me. But then again, he might like a break. So
there you go. See? Always look at the brighter side of life.
Yep.
Right? Speaking of which, what's going on with ParanormalGirl.com?
Nothing yet. Just I've been so busy with everything else. I have like hangover from the holidays. I gotta play catch up.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Blame you.
Yeah. How about with you?
Well, on this side, check out the YouTube channel, The Original Darkness Radio. Be sure to subscribe, become a member. We're going to have memberships up on the YouTube channel here relatively shortly. Check out darknessradioshow.com for intriguing content, for cool swag. We got the store up there, and new stuff being added to the store daily. And of course, archives of all the shows up there. What else? Oh, the Darkness Radio app. If you haven't, the Apple app, if you haven't updated the app yet, please do. Yeah, that's important. And if you didn't know that we had a Darkness Radio Apple app, then by gosh, add it. It's in the Apple Store. We encourage you to add it as a way to listen to the show. If you've been saying to yourself, well, I'd like to subscribe to the show, I just don't know how to subscribe to it on my phone. Well, of course, we're anywhere you can get the show, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio or the iHeartRadio app. But we have our own app on Apple. So, yeah, that's a way to get us too. Other than that, Mal, on tomorrow's show, we have an interesting guest. A guest by the name of Bob Frizzell, who's come out with the 30th anniversary edition of this book right here. And boy, is it a doozy. Look at that.
Oh.
Yeah, look at that right there.
Nothing in this book is true?
Nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, right? It's the secret history of the Earth, Merkaba activation, and breath alchemy. Right? So not your typical show.
Correct.
We're going to talk about everything from first contact with aliens to what it is this whole Earth is about, to the fact that you can ascend yourself to talk to the masters.
Okay.
I know. We're going to get into it tomorrow. And 30 years worth of it as well. We'll even talk maybe a little bit about sacred geometry. I know, math hurts my head too, kids. But we'll talk about it in a way that you can understand it. We'll also talk a little bit about our illusory holographic universe. There's shapes in here, Mallie. Shapes are fun. And we'll even talk a little bit about forgiveness, which is a fleeting concept in today's world. And creating reality within. There's lots of good concepts in here. So 30 years worth. But this book turned 30 years old, and it has amended information in it. So it's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. Think about that. Chapter 24, your body is light and you are immortal.
Oh, I wish my body was light.
Yeah, me too, right? I mean, my body's...
Once again, holiday hangover.
Right.
I got extra weight to lose.
My body's a little lighter after surgery 2 years ago, but not light. I know that. If I had to run a 40 right now, it ain't that light. I'll tell you that much. But Bob Frizzell is on the big program tomorrow. Nothing in the book is true, but it's exactly the way things are. So Bob Frizzell tomorrow on the big program. So that'll do it for today. Again, if you have a guest you'd like to hear on the program, tim@darknessradio.com. We got some good guests coming up, by the way.
You've had some good guests as well.
Yeah. Oh, also, one more thing. If you'd like to travel with Grant and Rihanna Wilson, mysteriousAdventurestours.com. We'll have a link in the description of this program. They're headed to Prague and to Japan this year.
Oh.
Yeah. Paranormal tours to both. And boy, are they interesting. Talk about going to Suicide Forest in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
You can do that in October with Grant and Rihanna. So, interesting stuff. I mean, if I could fold myself up in their suitcase and go, I'd go. You wouldn't see me in October. But it's 2 weeks in October in Japan.
Okay.
Right before Halloween. I think it's the beginning part of October. So, boy, is that, I'd love to go on that trip. That's like a dream trip for me. But you can break it up into payments, folks. Maria does that for you over at Mysterious Adventures Tours. So we'll put the link up in the description of this program so you can check it out. But yeah, that show last week was really interesting. It was an interesting show in the research they're doing right now. So, but yeah, we got some good shows on the way here in February and into March. An old friend is stopping by again in March. A couple of old friends from the paranormal TV world as well coming by in March. So, got good stuff on the way here, Mel. So
Fun.
Looking forward to it. So that'll do it for today. Bob Frizzell on the way tomorrow. Nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are. Can't wait. Can't wait to unleash this on you guys tomorrow on the best in paranormal podcasting. Thank you very much. For Mallie Fox, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you for watching and listening to Darkness Radio.